Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing good. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another quick video. As I keep mentioning in some of my last few videos, you know that just learning SQL, just learning Python is not going to cut it out for getting a data analyst job. You need to understand KPIs, you need to have business sense, you need to have understanding of the metrics that are used in different businesses. So today I took some help from our Google Gemini tool and have generated some quick KPIs for you to start thinking about how you can present yourself and your knowledge when you apply for data analyst jobs. Right here we have some product and marketing KPIs, but it's just to give you an idea of how you can start thinking. Right, for instance, we have daily active users. Right, let's say it's for an app or a website. What does that even mean? Right, so in a single day, how many unique users have engaged? Because the same person can come back 3-4 times, but he's still one unique user, right? So that's like a very common metric, right? Same way you can extend it to weekly active users, monthly active users, and so on. If you look at the query, it's nothing complicated, right? It's just doing a unique count of user IDs. And of course, like, you can give a filter for activity date, last week, today, last month, and so on, right? So the query is simple, but it's about understanding the logic, what it means. Customers churn rate, right? Percentage of existing customers who have stopped using the product. This has a lot of different definitions, right? But this is one definition, right? Users at the start divided by users at the start minus the retained users. What does that even mean, right? Like, so here we have a query. It's like very, very long, right? I just maybe paste it here, but very short form. What it is doing is, if you see, notice the query. Okay, it's looking at the distinct users from October 2025. As you see, distinct users from 1st to 31st October, how many users were there, right? And then it's also looking at the same distinct users but from November 2025, right? So for each month, what is the distinct users? It's calculating that, and then it's simply doing a subtraction of the difference in the values. Let's say there were like 600 active users in October 2025, but it was 540 in November 2025. There's a 60 drop in like the active users, right? And dividing it by the original number, which was 600. So essentially it's like 60 by 600, around 10%. That is the churn rate, right? As simple as that. You see, it's a simple join between the 2 months data, right? But in the end, what is churn? Like, how many people have churned out or dropped out in the course of a month. Next up, very straightforward KPI: average order value, average monetary value. Like, you order stuff, right? You might order like 3 or 4 times. Each time you might pay 50 euro, 20 euro, 70 euro, and so on. So the overall average of the order values is what is AOV. A simple reference is, let's say you've totally spent 2000 euros on your purchases and you made 4 different orders, then 2000 divided by 4, 500 is your average order value. It's very important because there could be customers who generally don't order frequently, but at the same time they might purchase a lot, like in one order, right? So these people also you need to focus on, maybe give custom discounts because they are giving you larger order value despite lower number of orders. As an extension of that, we have average purchase frequency. How often do people buy from you? Is it once in 2 months, once in a month, few times a month, once in a week, and so on, right? So then you can send out custom offers as well. So it's, as you see, in the end, it's just like counting the orders by the customers, like distinct customers. So let's say you get a frequency of like once a month or once a week, you can plan your marketing campaigns accordingly. Then we have conversion rate. This could be anything, like for instance, purchasing order on your website, and you could divide it by like the number of website visits or like the number of product page views, number of add to cart, and so on, right? You can play around with this. This is nothing complicated, like it's a simple division kind of query, but the idea is like to understand what conversion rate is important for a specific business and try to optimize that. Then we have another interesting metric: value drop customers, right? Like people who have been spending a lot, but suddenly they have stopped spending or they've reduced their spending. So this query is like quite long, but to give you like a very short form of what this does is, it takes Q3, for example. Okay, in total, how many orders the person has placed and what is the total amount they have spent. Let's say they have spent X, and then in Q4, how much they have spent, right? This is at a customer level, so you might have X for Q3 and Y for Q4. Now you find the percentage difference and see where it has dropped by more than 50%. Then focus on those customers and try to reactivate them, because now they have stopped ordering or they have ordered very less from you compared to previous quarter. Think about ways how you can reactivate them, right? Start buying from you more frequently and more monetary value again. The final metric is customer lifetime value. Everyone talks about this in product marketing or even in general any online business. What is customer lifetime value, right? Take one person, how much money can you make from that person across their lifespan, right? So if you see, it's a very simple formula. The average order value multiplied by the average purchase frequency multiplied by the average customer lifespan, right? What does this mean? On average, a person, let's say, orders 50 euro from you generally, right? And let's say their average purchase frequency for 1 year is 4 times, right? They purchase from you 4 times a year. So every time on average you make 50 euro from them, right? So 4 times means you make 200 euro from them per year. And how much lifespan they last, right? So let's say on average a customer lasts for 3 years, then 200 into 3, 600 euro is your average customer lifetime value for like one particular customer, right? So this can vary for the customer. Then you can see, which customers create long-term value, which customers don't, and then you can plan your stuff accordingly, right? It's a very, very long calculation again, but I assume the gist of it is you calculate the average order value, you calculate also like the average purchase frequency per year, that's important. And then for average customer lifespan, you can see in general when does a user sign up. I think that's what they probably will be doing. Let's see here. Yeah, as you see, when they have signed up and when was their last activity, any sort of an activity. This gives you an idea of their lifespan, like from their start to the finish. So if it's like a couple of years, then you can say on average it's 2 years and so on, right? So this is another interesting, really important KPI, I would say, for any business. But in the end, it's about understanding what these KPIs are, thinking about like the formula, the logic, and then converting it into SQL. This SQL conversion is the last step, and as you can see, if you give a nice logic in Gemini, it could even give you the first query which is 70-80% good, right? You can play around with it, but I think it's about the business sense that's becoming more important now in this AI driven world. I'll also post the link to the sheet so you can have a look, play around, generate more KPIs and see. I'll see you again in another video. Till then, take care. Bye.